In this video, we go over the Subplot Outliner. Now, this is a prompt that was shared by Miss Lemony Pickles on Discord that I have heavily modified. And the first thing we want to do is choose the source of our subplots. Ideally, for a novel, we'll have them in subplot codexes, or if you've come up with a new idea that you want to work on without going to the subplot idea prompt, you can do that here. Or, since I mostly write short stories and novellas, I might only have 2 subplots, and I'll keep those in note 146. So we'll start with subplot codex, and then it automatically brings up everything in the subplot subcategory, and we will choose our first subplot. And then scene count, depending on how complex or how long you want a subplot to be. If it's something real short where it's just like 2 characters talking something out and coming to a resolution, you can do something as simple as just 4 scenes. For something that actually has more of an impact on the story, you could do as high as 10. But we'll go with something in the middle of 6. And there is a note in the description tab for this prompt stating that Grok 3 Mini is the one I've had the most success with as far as adherence and consistency of output. So we'll do Grok 3 Mini. Let's go ahead and, since this is a big prompt, let's take a look at usage. So as it says, expands a subplot idea into a detailed subplot outline. The one thing I want to point out is it is a 6-phase prompt, and it does call out when it's in the different phases. This helps the AI containerize its instruction sets and just work on one thing at once, but also lets you know if you're using a different LLM. If it starts skipping, if you're in subphase 2 and the next thing you know it's like gone to phase 5, it's probably not obeying the instructions. So let us begin. So good old Grok, what it's doing is basically it's just showing, hey, here's what's in that codex entry. Which is it's a good thing that it's very inexpensive to use because it loves to burn through the tokens. 3-sentence summary, so in case there's something you want to change. But as it mentions here, once you're ready, type proceed. Phase 2 of 6. Create introduction, setup, complications, escalations, crisis, climax, and resolution, which it's done here. And it kind of does a little self-check. But if you read through this and go, nah, that's not what I wanted for this step, or it's like, well, no, it's actually Hemi versus this person as opposed to Raphael or whatever. But spot check it like always, make any changes. At this point, we're going to say it's okay and proceed to phase 3. Just wanting more validation, so tell it to proceed. Chapter scope, yeah, I don't know. Every once in a while it does this where it'll merge words together. So here it's just looking at dynamics, how it ties into world building, thematic elements. So now it's going to do kind of a choose your own adventure thing where it says, okay, for the first plot point, here are 3 options, and then depending on which option you choose, that will determine which 3 options it provides for the second plot point, and so on until you get all the way through it. So option 1, emphasize internal monologue. Let's tell it option 3. Stick with option 3. mix it up and say go with option 1. Say option 2. After it gives us a rundown of, okay, well, based on your choices, this is what it's going to look like. And then it does some more analysis, story progression, pacing, scene hooks, continuity. So giving us ample opportunity to make changes and so refine would let us, kind of go back and make changes, but we'll go ahead and have it spit out our new subplot. And usually for something like this, I'd actually copy this, paste it into research, although you always do have a history. Let's copy this again. Do some little formatting. Boop, there we go. So that is one subplot. So we'll go back in, use another method. Choose 6 again. Go with Grok 3 again. So now what it's done is it's looked into inside note 146 and then listed here all the subplots that it found. So we'll do the second subplot. And the mentions here, if you wanted to add any tweaks, you can go ahead and just say, 2, except I want, this to happen. Have them turn left instead of turn right. That kind of thing. And then just showing us how it looks formatted in the 6 scenes or 6 scene beats. Feels underdeveloped. Well, that's what you're supposed to do, is develop it. Quick outline validation. Do the interactions make sense? Yes. Are things happening for a reason? No. Does it fall from previous scenes? Contradictions, none apparent. Build on existing threads. I agree. So yeah, it's looked at the character codex entries, where it's coming up with this ent j. It's also looked at the current plot outline. Make sure that it fits in with that. Again, just doing a double check to make sure that, does the AI understand what your intentions are with this subplot? Alright, so we get to go do the choose your own adventure thing again, although this time that's A, B, and C instead of 1, 2, 3. Ooh, option B sounds intriguing. Let's go with B. Yeah, we'll stick with A. Yeah, A seems to be pretty much sticking to the existing beat. Yeah, let's go with C. I like that. Go with C again. Well, that's a lot of vague stuff. C. So I'm going to trust it here and tell it to proceed. And yeah, one thing I didn't point out in the previous one is, so when it breaks it down into major plot points, it's also using stasis disruption loops. Shows as the scene opens, what's his current status quo, his stasis, then something disrupts that, and then he has a reaction to it. That all looks good. Same thing, save it as a snippet. Looks like we got us a new subplot. Depending on which option you chose for working through the subplots, you would continue until all your subplots have been expanded and you've updated their codex entries. For completeness, we will go through the subplot outline again, but this time we will choose new subplot idea. Let's just go for something short, 4 scenes. Let's give Mistral Medium a chance. Well, that's why we don't use Mistral Medium on this. But what I want to show you is this works a little bit different than the other subplot idea, Brainstormer, and shows you kind of the inner workings of how the subplot outliner is working. So it's looking at which functions. So there are 3 different functions of a subplot. It's either related to character, it's intersectional, where it has something to do with the advancing the plot, amplifies the plot, the events in the plot, and then you have thematic, which deals with your themes. Yeah, in this case, it's like, so here's your choices. Oh, and I've already made a choice for you, the Cabal's Pawn. But hey, that's actually not a bad idea because we don't really have anything about Willa Thorne. She was just kind of a throwaway character. Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. And although we've already done that, click on it again. Not that it's going to matter, but again, it's just. So again, this is more kind of the sausage making that, when you click these buttons, it's going in and going, okay, well, if it's 4, then these are the only plot points you're going to have in the subplot. If it's 6, it's these. 9. No, it's 10. 10. Doesn't know how to count, but how many R's in strawberry? So here's the summary of what the subplot would be about. we'll say, yep, that's all good. Proceed. So it's given us our 4 plot points, and it's like, you could do a lot more with this if you wanted to. And then just like the other ones, checks it against the outline to make sure that we're not having something that's completely out of left field, doesn't fit in with the story. Alright, so yeah, here's the issue, in that it's assuming responses. But just for the purposes of demonstration, we'll go ahead and proceed. But yeah, again, this is why Grok 3 is the preferred LLM, because it's much better at adhering to the instructions and not just jumping forward, making assumptions. But yeah, it's really fortunate. It's like, you could really do more with this, expand on it, really make it have an impact on the story. And it just stopped. So as you can see, the final output after going through all that is the exact same format that the other methods used. So you still end up with the same results. So you could create another subplot entry in the codex and just have subplots galore. So that is the Subplot Outliner. In the next video, we'll cover using a modified version of the old Subplot Outliner and do some other additional stuff related to subplots and moving forward to Plot Outline 4.
If you have any questions, I highly recommend joining the Novel Crafter Discord. Thanks for watching and keep writing. Future readers are waiting for your stories.